A new study has some alarming facts. A lot of us are in danger of becoming cell phone jerks. Our phones keep us connected, but make some of us act more selfish, even when we're not using them. I think this is really sad. Some people actually think that Siri, Apple's automated voice, is a better friend than their real friends. We all know people can be rude when they're on their cell phone.
You know what? I have to take this. There better be a Scud missile heading towards Beverly Hills, Eric.
But did you know that your phone can cause you to behave selfishly even when you're not using it? Researchers at the University of Maryland School of Business find that cell phones link us together, but they reduce our social connections.
Cell phones have probably made me personally a little bit more antisocial, and maybe even more than I want to think.
The study's author, Rosalina Ferraro, says the cell phone directly evokes feelings of connectivity to others, thereby fulfilling the basic need to belong.
10 years ago, there were no cell phone. The world did not come to an end. 10 years later, there is a cell phone. The world still has not come to an end, but people are not connecting as much.
Apparently, our behavior has become so bad that a new trend has sprung up in reaction. Groups of people are tossing their phones onto the middle of the table when they're out to dinner with friends, and the one who peeks at the phone first has to pick up the check. And joining us now is Thomas Farley, who writes about antisocial behavior on his website, What Matters Most.
And he's currently writing a book about the tricky matter of tech etiquette. And good morning, Thomas. And I guess we ought to do this.
Before we begin this,
boy.
everybody put your phone in the center of the table.
Becky's got two of them, Thomas. My goodness gracious.
Actually, I have more at home.
Is that right? Oh, look at it. She gets it up. So help us understand about this behavior. Why is it rude that we're so tied to this?
Well, you know, I think cell phones take a lot of the blame, certainly, but tech in general has made all of us so detached from fellow human beings, which is sad because when you think about it, the idea is we're using phones to connect, to reach out to friends, and yet they're actually making us more distant. So we're kind of building these virtual relationships.
Even when we're not using them?
Even when we're not using, the idea is that when you're using the phone, this University of Maryland study says that when you're using the phone as much as we all do, that we don't feel the need to connect as much when we're live with people. It's like you're full at the dinner table, you don't need to eat more after dinner. So again, something that's supposed to be a communications device is actually detaching us from real communications.
That's an interesting point. I thought it was fascinating that people consider Siri a better friend than their real friends, and the whole reliance on the social media to actually have a friendship and have a relationship can't be good for society going forward.
There's this kind of delusional effect, I think, that can settle in where you really feel, well, gosh, I've got all these wonderful friends and I've got 5,000 friends on Facebook. Isn't this great? And yet you're sitting at your laptop or you're sitting at your iPad, and that's where you're making a connection and not doing it in person.
And speaking of iPad, Apple just introduced the latest. So is technology at the root of the problem here?
It's how we use the technology. So I think technology is great for bringing people together. Certainly it can create reunions of old high school friends, and that's terrific. But you want to make that extra effort to reconnect live and not just virtually. So I recommend using the technology for that and then doing this cell phone stack, really kind of getting outside, having a nice lunch with old friends. Don't spend that whole lunch with the old friends making digital plans with other friends. Be present when you're there.
Yeah, we're not just pointing the finger at technology here. In fact, we're not pointing the finger at technology. It's how we're using it and how we're choosing to not use it at times. Are there times where you think it should be sacred, 100% sacred?
Yeah, I think if you're walking into a place of worship, certainly the phone should be off. I mean, we've all seen it, right? At funerals and weddings where people are texting away. I think certainly with social media as well, it's this idea that we all have to be broadcasting all the time or we're all filming all the time. You're looking here instead of looking at the broader picture. And I think that's really sad. So absolutely, if you're in those really special occasions, leave it in the car. Better yet, leave it at home.
And you know what? I am guilty. I must admit this. So when we go to the restaurant for an evening out, you're saying there's a way to maybe break those like me of this habit, and that would be?
Well, this cell phone stack here, this is a great concept. This is something kind of new where everybody at the start of the dinner agrees they're going to put their cell phones in the middle of the table, turn them off, and the first person who feels they have to reach for the phone pays for the meal.
I like that. I like that a lot. Do you think you might be the person to reach for it? I might. I might be guilty of that.
Listen, thank you so much. I know someone who's
Thomas.
loving this segment. Thank you very
We
much.
appreciate
Thomas.
it.
All right, up
Pleasure.
next.